And welcome to Hannity. The alt-left propaganda media is still trying to recover from President Trump's historic beatdown yesterday, and that is tonight's opening monologue. All right, so snowflake anchors and reporters, they're whining, complaining about President Trump daring to call them out yesterday. Now, let's run through some of the examples. Over at NBC, Chuck Todd was so incensed by the president's press conference, he tweeted, quote, "This is not a laughing matter. I'm sorry. Delegitimizing the press is un-American." No, you did it to yourself, Chuck. Now, the president is defending himself from what is an out-of-control media bias, and somehow he's calling that un-American? Now, of course, Chuck wasn't done there. He also compared President Trump to Richard Nixon. Let's watch this.
A lot of this press conference had to do with the president airing grievances about the press. And, we got to remember what this is. It's a political tactic. It's one that is a familiar one, but he is going at it in a way we haven't seen a president do since Nixon in those early 70s.
Oh, really, Chuck Todd? He's probably upset because he's one of the biggest purveyors of all this fake news. Now, it wasn't that long ago when he falsely claimed that the president's temporary travel ban, including a religious test. That's a lie, Chuck. That's fake news. Remember this.
President Trump suspended the U.S. refugee program for 120 days, closed the borders on passport holders from 7 Muslim-majority countries for 3 months, and barred Syrian refugees indefinitely. And Mr. Trump established a religious test for refugees from those Muslim countries, allowing an exception for Christians and others from minority religions.
Then there's Brian Williams over at NBC. Now, let's take a look at the kind of fake news that was said in response to a comment that a guest made on his show. Watch this.
That is the most basic function of a free press in our society, and the president's response to that was to have a meltdown and to accuse us all of purveying fake news, when in fact his own actions, which were to fire General Flynn, proved that news was spot on. It was 100% accurate.
Because when you reduce the media enough in prestige, when they do report facts, those facts are diminished.
All right, Brian, speaking of reducing the prestige of the all-important, all-arrogant media, you may remember you lied repeatedly. Remember the helicopter that you were supposedly flying in Iraq and it was coming under attack? Or remember you reported and talked about seeing a dead body floating past your hotel after Hurricane Katrina? By the way, a location, there was no water and no dead body. But the anchors over at NBC News, they're not alone. CBS News also could not resist lashing out at the president. Watch this.
Today, we learned the length of the president's fuse, 28 days. After 4 weeks of being blocked by courts, challenged by Congress, and held to account by the public, President Trump called a hasty news conference and went on offense with the familiar tools that built his career: bluster, bravado, exaggeration, and a few loose facts.
Wouldn't Pravda be so proud? And ABC News, they got in on the Trump-hating action also. Why would they miss out?
That was the most amazing press conference by a president I have ever seen, and I've been watching it since the mid-'70s. And I don't mean amazing and great. I mean amazing and spectacular insight into Donald Trump and his state of mind today. To me, when you have presidents take office, many of them are empowered and get bigger. You think you have a president in that press conference that looked smaller and actually more insecure in his position.
All right, that leaves us now with CNN, the Clinton News Network. Their consistently biased Trump-bashing coverage. Now, that drew the attention of the president at yesterday's presser. And sure enough, the commander-in-chief, he let him have it. And I loved every minute of it. Take a look.
I'm not okay when it is fake. I mean, I watch CNN. It's so much anger and hatred and just the hatred. I don't watch it anymore because it's very good. He's saying no. It's okay, Jim. It's okay, Jim. You'll have your chance.
If I may follow up on some of the questions that have taken place so far here, sir.
Well, not too much. You do have other people. You do have other people, and your ratings aren't as good as some of the other people that are waiting. You look at your show that goes on at 10 o'clock in the evening. You just take a look at that show. That is a constant hit. The panel is almost always exclusive anti-Trump. The good news is he doesn't have good ratings. Should I let him have a little bit more? Sit down. Sit down.
We'll get it. Just because of the attack of fake news and attacking our network, I just want to ask you, sir.
I'm changing it from fake news, though.
Doesn't that undermine...
Very fake news.
I know, but aren't you...
Yeah.
Not only was he presidential, not only was he being honest, but he was being funny. And as you can imagine, CNN, the Clinton News Network, is not happy about getting called out. Here's how Jake Tapper responded immediately after.
Jake, I think all of us were pretty much stunned by the course of this hour and 15-minute appearance.
Hey, look, everybody at home just needs to ask themselves, how would you react if that were your boss coming in and giving a speech to the employees where you work? How would you react if that was somebody in your family that you were trying to have a conversation with? President Trump, if you're watching, you're the president. You legitimately won the presidency. Now get to work and stop whining about it.
The sting in any rebuke is the truth. They're having a hard time accepting the truth that they're abusively biased. Wasn't that the network that fed questions to Hillary Clinton? Anyway, then they colluded, of course, with that campaign. President Trump has not stopped working, and that's not all. CNN decided it was appropriate to actually mock the president by sending out a tweet with a video that reads, quote, "Turn your sound up and watch President Trump conduct an amazing symphony press conference." Here's the video. Oh, that's what we get from a real news network? By the way, Jake Tapper, Jim Acosta, you want to defend that as news? Or is that Saturday Night Live? Anyway, one of many reasons why the president keeps calling CNN fake news. Now, more importantly, here's what this all means. Everything you just saw amounts to a giant, huge temper tantrum from a bunch of overpaid, spoiled brats, so-called journalists who finally got called out for their bad behavior. So all the members of the media, they can be mad all they want. It doesn't change the fact how biased, how lazy they are, and how abusive they've been towards the 45th president. And in case they don't remember, here are some more examples.
This was a white lash. This was a white lash against a changing country. It was a white lash against a black president in part. And that's the part where the pain comes.
You're not having a terrible, terrible dream. Also, you're not dead and you haven't gone to hell. This is your life now. This is our election now. This is us. This is our country. It's real.
Miller also lying this weekend about the 3 million votes.
There was no BS to it tonight. He obviously believes everything he said today. The way he said it was so manic.
Pretty unbelievable. And by the way, the New York Times, they're just as bad as CNN. They had to reprimand a reporter this week for making a vile comment about the First Lady, Melania Trump. They also quoted a fake Michael Flynn Twitter account. And the so-called paper record, they tweeted an image of a late-night show video that had Stephen Miller, who works for the president's head on a stick. You know what? We're all sick of it. A brand new Fox News poll shows that compared to President Obama, 68% of registered voters say the media has been a lot tougher on President Trump. Now, we've also shown you repeatedly on this show how the alt-left propaganda media misrepresents the president and his policies. So, you know what, yesterday? The president drew a line in the sand. He called them out, and he said enough is enough, and he did it in a very even, measured tone. And you can guarantee that if the media gets out of line again, I expect the president to hit him back again. Why shouldn't he? The truth matters, and the people that are suffering from an information crisis are you, the American people. Here with reaction, Fox News contributor Herman Cain. Herman, I'll be honest, I loved every minute of it. I thought his tone was measured. He wasn't showing anger. He showed a lot of humor, but he also told a lot of truth, and they can't seem to handle any criticism. They're what they're accusing him of.
They can't. The pain of being thrown under the bus is very painful. And that's what they're reacting to. Sean, psychologists have described the first 3 stages of grief as denial, anger, and acceptance. But the liberal media and the Democrats have inserted what I call phase 2.5. It's called destroy. They want to destroy Donald Trump and his administration at all costs. So they are telling the 50% of the people who watch any news at all of these misconceptions about what he said and what he has done. The other 50% thank goodness they are watching your program, listen to me and others who are dissecting this and telling them the truth. They can't handle the truth, and that's why they're still having this temper tantrum that you described.
You know, look at all the examples I used. Look at the New York Times in 1 week, all the things that they got wrong. I'm going to put up on the side of the screen. I won't read it myself, but we'll also split screen it for you. This is the Federalist providing a list of fake news stories that reporters have run. And the other side of it is, look at how they were exposed in WikiLeaks. All of these networks, Herman, all of them exposed as openly colluding with the Clinton campaign. How do they not reconcile that?
They are in denial and anger and in destroy mode, and they can't see it. The irony of it is they are only destroying themselves. More and more people, like some of the people that you probably talked to on your shows, people that called into my show, more and more people are seeing this hypocrisy, and they're not buying it. The American people are not stupid, but the liberal media still doesn't get it. They are still in destroy mode, and it's not working.
It's also the stories that they don't run. In our next segment, we've got a very important story that we're covering tonight, and it's about the leaking from our intelligence community, Signet Communications, that, you know, we have a law that's called the Espionage Act. If they are spying our security agencies, in this case on a Russian ambassador, and they realize he's talking to an American, they're supposed to minimize the listening and minimize the recording of the American. Not only did they not do that and follow the law, which is a felony, but then they leaked this. They're not covering 18 U.S. Code 793, the Espionage Act, and how dangerous this is, because they didn't have a warrant to tap into the phone conversation of General Flynn. This was illegal. This is a crime, and if they can do this to him, they can do this to anybody. That is the big story here. They don't even want to touch it. Why?
They don't want to touch it because they are used to 8 years of an administration that they supported of only selectively covering selective laws that were enforced. Donald Trump and his administration are doing something that the previous administration didn't do, enforcing the laws. The law is the law, and he is saying, and rightly so, which is why so many people are positively responding to him, enforce the laws that are on the book.
Well, they better get used to it and learn 18 U.S.C. 793, because my prediction is the people that keep leaking within the intelligence community are going to be arrested, and they're going to be brought to justice, and they probably will go to jail. One last question. You know, we've had in 30 days shock and awe. The media, oh, the chaos, oh, he's unhinged, oh, he's this. I thought he had perfect temperament yesterday. And all of the promises a president has made and kept in 30 days is pretty spectacular. And more importantly, every other promise, he's laid the foundation to fix them too, and keep his word to the American people. Some of them I'll put up on the screen here. They're not out there telling the story that a president made these promises or is keeping these promises. I actually think that is a big news story.
It is a great news story. And what we are seeing is what I have described in the acronym SIN. They're not only shifting the subject, it's super shifting. They're trying to get so far away from the facts that people don't know the facts if they watch those sources. Ignoring the facts. They are ignoring the facts relative to what President Trump and this administration have accomplished. That's what's going on, Sean.
And you know
they're
what?
Destroying themselves.
We need to fix the country. We need to be safe and secure. Americans need jobs to get out of poverty, off of food stamps, and we've got to secure the borders, not let radical Islamists in the country. He kept his promise on the Supreme Court. Pretty profound. All right, Herman, good to see you. Thank you. And up next tonight on this busy news night on Hannity.
We're issuing a new executive action next week that will comprehensively protect our country.
The president says he will, in fact, sign a new executive action related to the temporary travel ban early next week. Jay Sekulow weighs in on the legal aspects of this, also the Espionage Act, and also tonight.
So if I come back in 200 days, you're going to go,
Well, I made a promise. We got it done. Well, because I think this is important.
So here's what I'm saying. We've mapped this out for 200 days. We have a plan to do that. We're on schedule.
So yesterday in Washington, I went to interview the Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan. I asked him about the president, his agenda. We're starting a new segment tonight, Holding Them Accountable. We'll tell you all about it straight ahead.